Welcome to this series of presentations on how to design and foster an online learning environment for student success. In this first segment, I would like to introduce to you the purpose of the series, identify the importance of fostering a positive learning environment, and relate all of this to the community of inquiry model. For a copy of the lecture notes and transcripts, please check out the resources on my electronic portfolio at www.lindaralston.com. The learning community. Well, simply spoken, a community is a social group of organisms sharing an environment, normally with shared interests. Well, in the case of an online learning community, it's a group of people who primarily interact via electronic communication media, such as email, voice over internet, telephone, social media, and or a course management system rather than face-to-face. To achieve an online community, it's important that students possess feelings of belongingness and that in fact they have duties and obligations to one another in the course, that they share expectations and are engaged in learning similar goals. During my period of reflection, I identified several different theoretical frameworks, and I believe this model identifies the components of a learning community that will in fact foster student retention and satisfaction. The community of inquiry model consists of three overlapping presents that are entitled teaching, social, and cognitive presents that create the learning experience in online and hybrid courses. I'm going to take some time to go over each of these three presents. Social presence in an online learning community. Yes, it is possible. How do we achieve this? Well, first we need to foster the ability of learners to identify with the community. We need to develop strategies where the students can communicate purposefully in a very trusting and safe environment, as well as developing their interpersonal relationships by way of projecting a little bit of who they are, their individual personalities. We need to ensure that every student is afforded an opportunity to be respected regardless of their gender, age, ethnicity, religious beliefs, and or social economic status. Everyone has a right to an equal status in the course. Similar to Dr. Francis's recommendations, I engage in several activities at the very beginning of the course to ensure that my students get to know one another and myself by requiring the students to post a self-introduction that includes some of their interests. I encourage them to identify why they have joined the class and what they hope to learn. My syllabus is also a contract, my word bond, between each student and myself. So it is important that the syllabus is clearly established expectations for full partnership and participation, regular times that the students should visit online, feedback on email messages and assignments in a timely manner, course assignments that are explained completely in the syllabus with dates that I will adhere to no matter what, and also I relate any consequences for poor behavior, such as late submission of assignments. Social presence. Tsai and his associates have argued that the instructor has the primary role to facilitate interaction among students, that they need to serve as a role model, designing discussion questions that are probing, that will help learners feel involved both socially and emotionally to the course and to their peers. The instructor needs to also encourage and recognize the ability of participants in a community of inquiry to project themselves socially and emotionally. We need to commend students for being real people. So this is important that the instructor is equally engaged in the discussion forums and in responding to emails in any way they possibly can, feedback on assignments, to ensure that students know that they're welcome and a full partner in the learning community. We have often seen discussions and projects being offered in an online course environment. Primarily, this is a form of cognitive presence in which we have one learner sharing with another learner and therefore developing a joint understanding of some concept that they've been talking about. Therefore, it's important to offer opportunities for students to develop cognitive presence. In my courses, I plan to incorporate opportunities for collaboration such as research projects, joint presentations, live chats. I'm going to encourage active learning in order to facilitate the construction and confirmation of meaning related to their day-to-day lives. For example, if I'm working with people who are going to become teachers, I would ask them to develop a lesson plan that they could implement in their classes in the coming weeks. I would encourage discourse outside the typical discussion forums, such as encouraging Facebook groups and meetups. I found that very effective in the MOOCs that I've been involved. Additionally, I will utilize peer reviews for drafts of assignments, but not the final submission. I believe the final submission of the document should be evaluated by an instructor or teaching assistant that can help give the students significant feedback to help them improve. I have an important question to ask you about teacher presence. If you were teaching in the classroom, would you ever consider leaving that classroom after posting a question on the chalkboard and turn around and leave? No, I don't think so. Well, I find that this is not uncommon in online courses, particularly MOOCs, massive open online courses. I find it rather puzzling that teacher presence is being ignored. We must, in fact, have greater responsibility than just posting recorded lectures and then leaving everything else up to a staff member. This is not teacher presence, as the research shows is so important. There have been numerous research studies published on teacher presence, and in fact it has been found that it is essential and is in fact predictive of online learners' sense of community, which in fact has a direct correlation to greater student satisfaction and retention of learning outcomes. Teacher presence is essential even in an online learning environment. Therefore, I have identified several strategies that will help to achieve a teacher presence in my courses. First of all, it's essential that I ensure that students know what is expected in all aspects of the course, provide knowledge and interesting lesson presentations followed by active learning experiences to help students attain those desired learning outcomes. Further, I will strive to provide response in a timely fashion within 24 to 48 hour response, as well as being actively engaged in discussion posts. I want to avoid problems, and when problems do occur, solve them quickly rather than depending on a staff member to do that type of work. Thank you for stopping by to discover what I had to share about a positive learning environment, and also understanding how I incorporate the facets of teacher, social, and cognitive presence in achieving that positive learning environment. During the next segment of this series of presentations, I will examine the 7 principles of good practice, which will further establish this positive learning environment. So, I hope that you'll be back to check out part 2, and the references for this presentation will follow shortly with a little music to entertain you as you check them out. Thank you and have a grand day.